What's up, everybody? Y'all come on in, come on in. Josiah, get everybody in here. Yeah, he is. While Joe's getting everybody in, y'all do me a favor real quick. I know everybody on the left side has not said a word to the people on the right and vice versa. So let's walk around and say hi. Do this. Walk around and say hi to 5 people that you haven't already said hi to. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Get up, Chase, or I'm going to come tickle you. Get up, get up. There you go. Daniel's speaking tonight. He might. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and get him one just in case. Yeah. Mallory, get up. Ruth, get off your tail. All right, Ruth is volunteering to stand the whole service. All right, y'all have a seat very quickly and tell you about some exciting things coming up. How many of you want to do exciting things? We're just going to have all kinds of exciting things to do. So just want to tell you about a couple things. So one of the things is if you were here last night, it was fire. It was awesome. We had a ton of people here going after the Lord. We even had people show up from Atlanta that came just to pray. Wow, and y'all live 3 minutes down the road. Oh. Speaking of Josiah, one of the things we used to do years ago, and we've kind of redone it, is we've started our prayer journal again. And so this is a prayer journal. And basically what that means is if you have a prayer request, we actually pray specifically for needs. And so in this, you can write the date, you can write your name, you can write your prayer request, and then there's a fourth blank. Because we believe God answers prayers. We don't just throw them out there. Amen? So we left a fourth blank that says how God answered it. And so you come back later and say, here it is. And this is also, not only is it a prayer request journal, but it's also a journal of testimony of what God's doing. So feel free to always do that. We'll be in here praying. We got some things going on with revamping some of our prayer culture. And so this will be something that we'll be interceding with the Lord with you on a daily basis. So make sure you sign up for that and fill that out. This is our last night of being in the room together. Starting next week, we'll start our discipleship training for 3 months. It'll go July 1st through the end of September. And so it'll be a 3-month course, 12 weeks. And so we need you to sign up for that. The courses, matter of fact, to make it easy for you, you have to sign up for something. The reason why I need you to sign up is so we have enough copies and material done. So take this, pass it down. Those are the 2 classes we're going to have. And if your name's not on one of, you can't do both classes, but do one of them. Make sure your name's on one of the lists so that you can be a part of these classes. You have to learn. You have to be discipled. You have to grow. If you're coming to church here, we make it a requirement. You have to grow. You can't just sit around and do nothing. Ignorance is not allowed. So we want you learning on discipleship. That's going to be a lot of fun. My class is going to be meeting in my office, the Old Testament history class. The foundations class is going to be meeting in here. Now, what's also important, which was really cool, is we're going to start next Wednesday also, to help you with time, start serving dinner here. Yeah, because we can't get together without eating. And so it's going to be real simple. You have to sign up by the Sunday before. So tonight and Sunday, make sure you sign up if you're going to eat. It's very simple. For a family, it's $15. Or if you're just an individual, you're single, it's $4 a person, $2 for kids. Make sure you sign up. There's a different meal every week. It's not the same thing. So this coming up Wednesday, a week from tonight, we're going to have baked spaghetti. and it's going to be, yeah, unless you're on Optavia, then you get to eat like a cracker. No, you can't eat cracker. You get to eat like a shake. You get a shake. You get a milkshake. So, but make sure you sign up for that, and then it's from 6 to 6:45. We shut it down at 6:45, so make sure you come early. We're going to have it all set up in there, table set up. We can fellowship, we can laugh, play, have fun, and get fed all at the same time. So that's going to be real cool. Make sure you're a part of that. One other thing we're starting, I'm telling you what, we're hitting the road hard come July, which is next Wednesday. But starting next Thursday on the 2nd, we're going to start having youth prayer meetings at Chris and Jen's house for our teenagers. So if you have a teenager, that means something to you. If you have a little kid, that also should mean something to you because we're preparing for them. So this will be every Thursday night. We're going to get them together. We're going to steal their phones. We're going to put them in the room. We're going to teach them how to pray. We're going to pray with them. We're going to encourage them, and we're going to start something with them. It'll be every Thursday night. So if you know some teenagers or you have some teenagers, make them come. Make them be at it. Chloe, make them go. Look, she's tightened her hoodie up so I couldn't see her. So make them be a part of that. It's going to be really cool. Also, if I asked this Sunday, if anybody's interested in going on a foreign missions trip, it would be next summer because we take a year to plan and a year to raise money. If you're interested in that, we're going to have a meeting Sunday right after service. As soon as service is over in my office, we're going to meet. We're going to give you the basics of what it's going to cost, what's required of it, things like that. And so we're going to go over all the basics for the preliminary of that. If you're interested, if we have enough people that are interested, we're going to go ahead and start doing it and promoting it and getting ready and doing fundraisers and stuff like that to help you be a part of this. It's going to be awesome. So that's going to be good. How many of you are on GroupMe and actually check it? Okay, half of you are not, and that's okay. But I want to really thank you. We had a need that came up on Tuesday morning. We put this out there, or I think it was Tuesday morning or Monday night or whatever. Whenever we did, you guys responded amazingly. We had a family in the church that was struggling financially with some stuff, got behind on some bills. You guys responded so well. We needed like $470. Y'all gave $480. Isn't that crazy? In like 2 days. And nobody really, except for a couple people, gave over $20. And it's awesome. So that means a lot of people responded. And if everybody responds, $20 is not a lot. So thank you for doing that. You helped some people in our church. You helped your family. And that's what we want to do. We want to do that. We want to do that for everybody that needs it. And so I just want to personally thank you. I've also been talking with Maya and a couple other people that are growing up in ministry, and they're talking about wanting to get some training for ordination. And I want to throw it out there for some of you that are maybe pursuing the Lord and really feel like the Lord's called you into something deeper, and you really consider. Now, it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't want to wear this hat, but if the Lord is impressing upon you to pursue ministry in some form, come and talk to me, because I'm thinking about starting some classes specifically designed for that. Now, this is not something that's going to last about 3 weeks and it's over and you get a certificate. It doesn't work that way. It's going to be long. It's going to be grueling. And those of you that have been in ministry school, it's going to be really, really hard. And I'm really, really mean, apparently. But you hush. You hush. You're fired. And so come see me for that. It's gonna be really good. Who was it? Ruth. Do you want to share your testimony publicly, or is this private? No, thank you. You don't want to come up front? All right. Who wants to testify real quick about how amazing week you've had so far? Who's had an amazing week so far? Samantha, come see me. Come see me.
If y'all are on GroupMe, then you already know. But earlier today, I had somebody randomly message me on Facebook who I've known for a while, but we haven't talked. And she just was telling me about her boyfriend, that he has diabetes and he's in kidney failure. And he's been struggling for a while with his kidneys. And he is in the hospital now. He has pneumonia, and his kidneys are like 1%. And they're like really, like, he's literally on the verge of death. Like, really, really there. And the only way she got him to the hospital was, he said he had just given up. He was just going to lay in his bed and just, until it happened. And so when the EMTs got there, he said that, and so they took him in for a suicidal watch. And she just said he is hopeless. He wouldn't accept medical care. He signed the forms, and he was still in the hospital. I'm getting really emotional because this is so amazing. He was just done. He wouldn't accept it. And when she told me that, I let everybody on Group Me know, and I just, in the middle of the work, actually it was on my lunch break, I just really just spiritual warfare, like prayer, like something in the spiritual realm, not just asking, but claiming that over him. And then like a couple hours later, I got a message, he accepted all medical care. And that is like spiritual, supernatural type, no 100% that was God intervening. So that was awesome.
You can turn hearts, Kenny. Anybody else? Josiah, you want to say something? It's good, buddy. It's great. It's great. Caitlin, anything good in your life? Wow. Come on. Wow. Come on. That's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Patrick, you want to say anything? Not yet. Anybody else got anything good before we get in it? All right. Well, tonight I've been talking for a couple weeks to a friend of mine about sharing his testimony with you. And you're going to see a side of him that you would not have imagined, this being our last night before we split up. So it's funny how you see people and you think we get them in different phases. Sometimes we get them at their worst and then they get better. Sometimes we get them at a good place and then you hear their story and it's like, are you serious? A lot of you in this room, when you told me your stories, it was like, you? And then I'd be like feeling for my gun because I'm scared. But tonight's going to be. I want you to get to know this guy. He's a real friend, and he's been a part of our church for a little while now. But his testimony is one that'll blow your mind, from where he was at the worst to where God has him now, and what's coming down the road for him. And so, most of you don't know him, but I'm going to ask him to come and share his heart with you. And let's embrace his story. So, Daniel?
Thank you, sir.
You want to record this? We're going to record it, if that's all right.
I'm going to leave out some sensitive information anyway. Sorry. So, who in the room is on Optavia? Real quick, I gotta. Whoa. All right, Donnie, we're a church of accountability, right? Okay. When we have this dinner, I got y'all in my head. I don't want to see nobody. No slipping. So, yeah, I got a pretty wild testimony. In my eyes, I've given it like 3 times, and I feel like it's a little boring sometimes because it's just recounting what happened in my life. And, but when I sit back and think about it, it's a big deal. And God's brought me a long way. And, but I wanted to share my devotion with y'all this morning. Just woke up, was, expecting God to give me a word this morning. And so I got this devotional right here. It's called Jesus Always. It's Jesus Calling Sarah Young, I think is her name. Sequel to that is what I call it. But so it's God speaking in first person. So when it says I, and he's talking about himself. So he says, I am making you new in the attitude of your mind. Living close to me is all about newness and change. I'm transforming you by the entire renewal of your mind. This is a massive undertaking. You will be under construction till the day you die. However, unlike the inanimate materials that builders use to construct houses, you are living, breathing material. I have given you the amazing ability to think things out and make important choices. I want you to use this godlike ability to cooperate with me as I transform you. This involves putting off your old self, your old way of thinking and doing things, and putting on the new self, which is your testimony, basically, all of our testimonies. To make good, godly choices, you need to know me as I truly am. Search for me in my word, ask my spirit to illuminate it, shining his light so that scriptures come alive to you. The more you choose to live according to my will, the more you will become like me, and the more you can enjoy walking in the light of my presence. So that's our story. Like he said, we're all in different places in our story, but it's all about walking with God and letting him mold you. And he designed us, he created us, he's changing us. And it's not like my testimony is as of today backwards, but we still got a lot left to write. And so let me pray right quick before I get into it. Father, thank you for this day, God. Just thank you for my story. Father, I thank you for the people in this room and their stories too, God. Just remind us of the power of a testimony, God, that is something that nobody can take away from us. It's not debatable. It's not theology. It's our story, and it's real. So I just ask today that you be glorified through this, and that I do not boast about myself at all, and that this is all a part of just who you are. In Jesus' name, amen. So, yeah, I really don't have much to boast about. And actually, I'm going to kind of talk about where I'm at right now spiritually, because of your message last week. Really hit home with me. Can you be lost and saved at the same time? And so most of y'all know I'm engaged to Jenna, and a couple months ago we broke up. And really is because I was lost and saved at the same time. And so, my testimony, you'll hear about how when I was locked up and everything, and how close I was with the Lord at one time, and even when I got out of prison. But over the past few months, even before coronavirus, I, just kind of settled, like you said, outside the city of sin with things that weren't necessarily bad, but, definitely distractions, got lazy, went from studying, memorizing verses, doing a whole page of spending time with God in the morning, to just rushing through it, saying a quick prayer, reading my devotion, and running out the door, So I lost sight, I lost touch with God. I wasn't communicating with him, got distracted. The enemy, like you said, he's taking away a little bit at a time, so that you don't notice it. And the next thing you know, I'm not over here just doing something crazy, but I'm off track, and I've even said it before in my other testimonies that if I ever quit doing my devotion in the morning and spending time with God, that, I might lose my way. And so to say those words and then to do it later on is like, what the heck? I know better. But anyway, So yeah, I'm just at a place right now where I'm coming back to God, to not back to church, but back to a loving relationship, back to discipleship. I mean, do I want to be a Christian or do I want to be a disciple? Because I can't be a disciple if I'm not studying, my master. So, and there's a lot that comes along with that, from especially a father standpoint and running a household, which was what I'm stepping into, and which is what I got scared of because I wasn't strong in the word. And, so raising kids, and not just raising them, but being a part of their lives, and a wife and all that. I mean, that's a big deal. And, you like you said, you're going to be held responsible. You're going to be the one. I'm going to be the one having to answer for that. So I can't do it unless I'm right there with him every step of the way. So I do appreciate you getting me to do my testimony. It hadn't been weeks. We've been talking about it, like a couple of days. Hey, bud, you want to do this? I'm like, literally 3 times this week I started to call you and be like, can't do it. I'm not where I need to be. I ain't where I'm supposed to be. I don't have all my scriptures memorized. And so it will, man. And I'm glad, because, it made me think about a lot of things. Like, when I give this testimony, it reminds me of what God's brought me through, and who I'm supposed to be, and what I'm supposed to be doing, and the calling he put on my life, And these are the things that, like you said, the enemy takes away one at a time. So I'll just start out from childhood. Pretty normal child. Me and Derek, this is my buddy Derek Blankenship, everybody. He's a longtime friend of mine. We lived around the corner from each other for a long time. I had a pretty normal childhood, good parents, decent job. We never had money, but, they worked and took care of us. And so just normal childhood. God gave me a lot of talents as far as just mentally. I'm good at math. I'm good at building things, sports. He entrusted me with a lot of talents. And ping pong? Oh, yeah. Any sport involving a ball. I'm a bowler, ping pong, golf, any of it. But, see, do not boast. But, no, so I had a normal childhood, really a good childhood. Like I said, it wasn't rich or anything, but my parents, they were not business-minded people necessarily. They liked to go to work 8 hours, come home, spend their money, not save much, and, give the kids what they wanted and just live a normal life, and that's fine, that's good. But they taught me, character traits, and they did have me in church, and, they taught me how to be a good person. So I'm thankful for that. Around 12 years old, we stopped going to church. My brother's 4 years older than me. He got his license when he was 16, and that was it. He didn't want to go no more. I didn't want to go no more. We started listening to rap music. I can remember the first rap song. Okay, it was Snoop Dogg. Anybody want to guess? Huh? Anybody want to guess which one it was? This is around 96. Murder Was the Case. First rap song. That changed my life right there. But but so yeah, we left church. Still wasn't really bad. Me and Derek ran around when we were young, like 14, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Started smoking some weed, doing a little drinking, just dilly-dallying around. We weren't like hardcore into any of it, but we definitely opened the door. I'm a risk taker. It's I look at it as one of the gifts God's given me. A lot of people don't, but so I'm a risk taker when it comes to money. When it comes to trying new things, just never was scared of anything. Oh, some weed, all right. When I'm 12, 13 years old, and a lot of people don't do that. They're kind of afraid of it and stuff, but we just jump right into things. And so we were normal teenagers, but yet, like my senior year of high school, we made it a point to smoke weed every day before school. And we would go into class, we would walk down the hallway, and we just been in the car like Cheech and Chong, and the whole hallway stunk. And but it was a mindset of, I'm a rule breaker. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And those teen years right there are huge. And I'm a big advocate of catching your kids early, 12, 10, years old. If I would have known that at 14, opening those doors would have led me to being a drug addict and in prison on my 30th birthday, I wouldn't have done it. I promise you. I mean, nobody ever gave me that insight. Don't do that. That's bad. Okay, I know that's bad. But nobody ever told me, if you start drinking now, there's a good chance that it will develop, get worse later on. You might do this, you might do that. Like I said, I wish somebody would have just told me that straight up, and so I'm not blaming anybody, but so talk to your kids, and tell them the far-reaching effects, not just that it's bad, don't do it. Really get into it with them at a young age, because stuff's out there now even worse when we were young. And so the more honest you can be about it, the better. Me and Jenna had this conversation the other day about what can I teach my kid that I don't know, and how can I do that if I don't know it? So how many people in here have been to jail or prison or been a drug addict? This church maybe more than others, but a lot of people hadn't. So if you hadn't, find somebody that that has, and have them talk to them about it. It's important. And so I dilly-dallied around, got a construction job when I was 20 years old, framing houses. So the guys there, they're all gung-ho, wide open. It's dark. They still out there with lights on working. I'm like, how y'all doing that? And come to find out, they're snorting a little meth. So that they're making in their microwave, might I add. So I'm like, hey, let me get some of that, I want to work hard, I was coming into framing. There's a whole world to learn about how to do this stuff, and it's hard work, and it helps. Let's just say that to a degree. Don't take that the wrong way. But so yeah. So I tried meth when I was like 21. Just didn't really go all the way into it, but over time it developed into more and more, of course. And by the time I was 24, I got arrested. So when I was 21 years old, right before I tried meth for the first time, I was about to buy a house. 20 years old. I used to tell my parents that I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. That's something I used to tell them. And had every intention of doing it. And the drugs, again, they sidetracked me. And, if somebody would have said, hey, what do you want in life? Do you want this right here? Or do you want to be 30 years old recovering from all the stuff you done when you were 21, 22? So, when, I was close to signing on the house, got on drugs. Wasn't necessarily the drugs that didn't do it. Some things fell through with the financing, but it was a big turning point in my life, because I kind of just lost track right there of where I was going. And I feel like if I'd have got that house, I might would have just put down some other stuff, would have had mortgage responsibilities a little bit more, but anyway, I didn't. So I was arrested at 24, 2005. It takes a year or two to go to court nowadays. So I was on bond, going back and forth. I would do drugs, and I would say, I don't want to do this no more. And then I'd get clean for 2 weeks. As soon as something bad would happen, I'd jump back on them again, go around the wrong people, on and off all the time. And so I went to court. They gave me probation, but they did say you got to come to jail on the weekends. So anybody that's not living right ain't coming to jail on no weekend. I'm just leaving the club like, oh man, I gotta go to jail in 30 minutes. Ain't gonna happen. So that didn't take long before I didn't show up, and they locked me up, did a little rehab in there, in the jail, let me back out, reinstated my probation, kept on messing up, still wasn't done, locked me back up in 2008, and sent me to prison, revoked my probation, sent me on down to Ventress, Alabama. And but all I had to do was complete a rehab. My sentence was only 4 years. You do 1 year, you kill it. So all I had to do was complete a rehab, and I was back out. Went in March 2008, got out December 2008. So it was a simple possession charge, but I wouldn't act right, so they sent me on down the road. So while I was locked up in the county jail, my uncle is a preacher, and so he was coming up there visiting me every week, and we were going over Romans. Can't remember. William Barclay was the book we were reading about. It was a commentary on Romans, and so he would tell me, we'd talk about the things for 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the visitation was. I'd go back to the cell, have Bible studies, and teach what he taught me. Went down to prison, stayed out of trouble, stayed away from all the crap, completed my little thing, and come out, was going to church while I was in prison, and learning a little bit. But I can remember one of our conversations that my uncle had, and he was like, you really getting this stuff, and you're teaching classes already. You should be a preacher one day. And you don't remember your thoughts a lot of times. You remember what you did or what you said. I remember my thought when he said that, and it wasn't good. I said, huh? You mean, I didn't say this, but I thought, you want me to give up my life to go preach? Ain't gonna happen. And so that was my mindset. Yeah, I was going to church. Yeah, I was reading about God and teaching about God, but in my heart, I hadn't turned over yet. I was still, this is my life. I'm my Lord. You're not my Lord. While I was reading about him being my Lord. But anyway, so just being honest, I wasn't there yet. And so I got out of prison. I did good for a while. While I was locked up, my mindset was I was an addict, never hurt anybody. I still had my pride. I'm still good at all this stuff, and so I never really put up any kind of barriers, never changed much besides I was locked up and I was clean. Other than that, I never put any more action into place to keep myself clean. So start looking for a woman when I get out. God sends my child's mom, and she was going to church, and that's how I met her. That's why I sought after her. And so, but it wasn't long before a little bit of drinking. Have a drink here at the lake with the parents. It's good, no problem. Then next thing you know, it's a little smoke there. That's fine, no problem. Now I done quit smoking cigarettes for 9 months. Now I'm back smoking again and drinking. Can't drink without smoking, in my opinion. And so, or at least beer. But anyway, So I'm drinking, I'm smoking again. Oh, next thing you know, here comes a little meth back into the picture. Okay, boop. Well, next thing you know, it ain't the next thing you know, but after a year or so, I'm back on drugs again. And, I'm going to have to leave this part out about my daughter, because there's a lot in that story. I feel wronged this time, that time. I wronged them this time, that time. I don't want to get into all that, but I will say that my drug use took my daughter from me. Her mother's dead. She lives with her grandma. Okay? We're working on a relationship to introduce her back in. God's already confirmed that it's going to happen, and I'm waiting on it. So there's a good ending to that. I know it's coming. So I'm not going to get into all that, but like I said, while I was in prison, hold on, let me keep going. That's why I keep these little notes right here. So, started back using drugs, left her. She was pregnant. Left her while she was pregnant. Thought in my mind, worst case scenario, I'll get to see her every other weekend. That wasn't the worst case scenario. But anyway, so I got a job doing independent property inspector. You ride around, you take pictures of these houses that have been foreclosed or under bankruptcy, and so you just ride around, take pictures of houses. They send you a list. You got this little app. You map it all out. Takes you the quickest route to do your route for that day. And so some of them weren't occupied, and I'd have to go in and take pictures of the inside. The bank owns these properties. They want to know the condition of the property, so you have to report it. So that's when I started stealing. I was back on meth. Had this job. I would go in these houses, and I don't know what happened. Somebody died. Somebody got locked up. I don't know what happened. But there would be houses full of stuff. Dirty dishes in the sink. They just vanished or something. And I'm in there taking pictures, looking around never stole before in my life. Even all my days on drugs and all, was not a thief until I got into that. And so the first time I took something, it was a rush. I liked it. It brought me money. Knew I didn't have a very high chance because I would remove it from the picture, then take the picture and note on here, if I needed to, window was broke. Good chance of vandalism. Really, I was vandalizing them, So, are you going to edit that part? What's the statue on that, Sam? Need a statue on that. But so that was how I started stealing. So that was how I got into stealing. After that, my drug use got more and more, of course. I started breaking into houses that people lived in, plotted out when they were leaving. Sometimes went on a whim, knock on the door, daytime, didn't care. I wasn't seeing my kid, unjustly so in my eyes at the time, even though I was on drugs. She didn't know I was on drugs, but I still wasn't getting to see my kid like I thought I should. I was feeling down about life in general. I knew my potential, wasn't living up to it. Everybody's upset with me. My family, everybody knew I was on drugs. They were mad at me. They wasn't upset. They were mad. And I'll speak on that. If you know somebody on meth, do not try to argue with them or be mad with them, especially while they're high or even if they're not. You ain't going to get nowhere with them. Their mind is not thinking right. They're going to argue back with you. They're going to get defensive. I understand, it makes people mad. It made my brother mad at me, because of what I was doing to my parents and stuff. They were mad at me. But anger is not going to get you anywhere in that situation. And, might not even be nothing you can do for them, honestly. But, so anyway, I'm down on myself. I'm really low. I'm ramping up my drug use. I wasn't even selling drugs anymore. So I was at a point where I was just selling drugs, stealing stuff to stay afloat. Wasn't even doing that anymore. Just stealing stuff, because I felt like when I went around the people selling drugs, all the cops were watching them. So I didn't want to be around them because I had too much stolen stuff in my car. So and that was when I stopped being around anybody. I had one person that would drive me around and be my lookout while I went and broke in these houses. And so I'm like, well, it's his car, his tag. If anything happens, I just run. He's going to be the one that gets caught. So he was about the only person I hung out with. We got to the point where we were going to Biloxi. I knew a guy in Mobile that owned a club, and we were going here to there and just stealing, doing drugs, gambling, and just living wild as possible. And I really didn't care what happened to me at that time. You know, I was at the lowest of my low, and I honestly didn't care if there's times we fell asleep driving. I've been up for who knows how long, and going down the interstate or coming back and just fall asleep, wake up off the road. Any of those times we could have died, killed somebody else. I mean, you know, I'm out here stealing stuff people work hard for, you know. And in my mind, I'm not consciously thinking, oh, this is bad, don't do it, because, of course, I'm suppressing those thoughts. But I did feel bad about it deep down, you know. And, you know, somebody might be saving up for a year, 2 years, putting back $50 a week to buy this four-wheeler. I drive by at 2 in the morning like this and go over there and take it from them. You know, it's just wrong. And so God was still holding on to me, surprisingly. But he didn't let me get arrested in Auburn or Phoenix City or Columbus. I was pulled over in each one of them. Carload full of everything you can think of, from guns to stolen jewelry, meth, paraphernalia, everything. And somehow I didn't go to jail. And that happened 3 times until I was in Biloxi. I had this girl with me. My plan was to go down there and not rob at gunpoint, but break into a pawn shop. Take all that jewelry and everything and go to Vegas. That was my plan. And so I went to the dope man's house to get some stuff, and he was out. So he's like, wait, I got some on the way. Give me 30 minutes. I'm sitting there. This girl's there. It's his sister's friend or something like that. I can't even remember really, but she was telling me how her husband or baby daddy, whatever, was like, held her down, shot her up with meth, like put their kids in the oven, threatened to turn it on, and he's killed people before, she's told me, and she's scared to death. She finally ran away. And so I'm like, well, I'm headed down to Biloxi to do a bunch of bad stuff myself. You want to go? And so so she came. And so yeah, so my plans changed then. I'm like, I got somebody with me, I can't do this, you know. So I was just gonna go down there, stay at the casino for a week or two. And anyway, I broke into 2 houses while I was down there, at least, maybe a couple more. Left her at the room, come back to the room, pick her up. We go to a different casino. The next day, I go by and break into one more house, like 12 in the afternoon. And so we leave there. We go to this pier in Biloxi. Y'all might know where it is, down by the courthouse. I think they call it a courthouse pier. But anyway, go through all this stuff, throw away a bunch of stuff. Somebody's watching us, and obviously we're high as a kite and probably just done something wrong. They see us throw the stuff in the trash. They go get it, call the cops. Meanwhile, I drive to the pawn shop. I got this big diamond. I want to know if it's real. So I go to the hey man, what you give me for this? You know, they'll test it. Well, while they go test it, they get my license. And the pawn shops have a program called Leads Online, and it reports if you have any outstanding warrants, and it reports your history of pawning things if you went to a pawn shop that uses the program. So my thing dinging off the hook. I got warrants everywhere. They called Columbus. Columbus says, he's too far away. We ain't going to come pick him up. They're about to let me go. Meanwhile, another officer arrives. He's outside in the car with old girl. Ma'am, what y'all doing down here? Oh, we on vacation. We on vacation. And he's like, okay, well, why do you have a leaf blower in the back seat? And she wigged out then, man. She spilled the beans. Oh, he been breaking in the house. The car's full of stuff. Officer, please don't arrest me. Okay, yeah, right. Takes both of us to jail. I got in the back of that car, and I swear I didn't know it, but there was a weight on me that just fell off. When I sat down like that, I could literally just feel myself get lighter. And I was like, it's over, finally, Crazy. I mean, just glad I got arrested. That's crazy. And so they charged me with an aggravated assault charge and a couple burglaries. Well, apparently somebody broke into an officer's house. His wife came home while they were there. There's a couple different stories floating around, but they either picked up a brick and hit her with it, or punched her and took off running, or took off running and pushed her down, and she was injured. So I don't know what really happened. It wasn't me, but I fit the description of a 6-foot white male. So they charged me with it. Literally, that was their evidence. So I slept for about 2 weeks. Been up for a year probably. Slept for about 2 weeks. I'd wake up, eat a couple bites, give the rest of my food away, go back to sleep. And but when I finally come to, realize I think they woke me up to go to court. And so I went to court. The judge is reading all these charges. I'm like, hold up. I broke into some houses, but I ain't hurt nobody. I said, Your Honor, I'll plead guilty to these burglaries right now and tell you which houses I broke into. But I did not hit anybody or hurt anybody. So part of their deal is, if you will sign this, or if you'll waive this preliminary hearing, which is a probable cause hearing, which is where they're supposed to say, we have probable cause to arrest you. If you'll sign and waive that hearing, it saves them time, because 99.9% of the time they have probable cause to arrest you. Even if they didn't, they're going to say they did. So it just speeds things up. It records the formality for the court, and then they reduce your bond. So most people do it. And I'm like, I'm not signing anything that suggests I did this, because I didn't. I don't want a bond, don't care about a bond. I ain't pleading guilty to a violent charge, or even signing a thing that says I might have. So they put my court date off for 2 weeks. They come back. They said, charges are dropped for aggravated assault. But you still got these burglary charges. Cool. Literally, I said, well, what's the probable cause? They said, you fit the description of a 6-foot white male. So we have probable cause to charge you with this. I'm like, wow, okay. Anyway, they ended up throwing it out. They ended up finding out who did it. Thank God. So when I woke up, I was in the violent offenders dorm. My roommate was awaiting trial on a murder charge. Been in there for like 26 months, 27 months, waiting to go to court. Sex offenders, all this was in my dorm, And so I was a little bit scared, Called my dad, like, man, tore him up. I mean, that was the worst phone call I've ever made. And it broke his heart. I mean, it really did, because I was like, I've really up and done it this time. Don't know how much time I'm looking at. Could be 10 years if they don't drop these charges easily. And so, I mean, I really hurt my family big time. And, You're doing all that stuff. That's the last thing you're thinking about till you sober up. And you're like, dang, the people that love me, these are the ones I'm hurting. I ain't hurt nobody else, really. I mean, I took their stuff, but I hurt my family the most. And that's hard to deal with. The first picture I got was of my mom and my daughter. You talking about bawling? I cried my eyes out, man. I done hurt the two people that meant the most to me in my life. That was rough. And so when I did wake up, went to court, blah, blah, blah. So they call for a church call. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to church, When I get locked up, is what I do. So I go up there. This man is preaching about the prodigal son. And I'm already just full of emotion. Felt bad for what I did and everything. And that was just, I know the Bible, grew up in church, preached a little bit before in 2008. And so God was just calling me home. He really was. And everything in me was waiting until he finished that message so I could go up to him and hug him and get him to pray for me. And it was just a homecoming when, I felt like I was hugging God when I was hugging that preacher. And I just cried on him, and it was the only hope I had at the time, because when you get locked up, they take everything you got, which everything I had was in my car, and it was all stolen. So anyway, but they strip you down naked, and then they say, all right, here's a little change of clothes and a toothbrush and a cup. So you literally have nothing. You're at rock bottom. I had nothing. My car was towed. I knew it was gone. Had no money really except what was on my little books in my pocket. And it's just, I was literally at the bottom of myself. Before, I had pride still. I really ain't hurt nobody. My little drug habit, yeah, it's wrong, but it's mine. Now I'm sitting in prison, 30 years old, supposed to be a millionaire, according to myself. 30 years, about to turn 30, about to be Christmas time, December 12th. Got a daughter over here. My parents I done hurt. My whole family have tried to help me the whole time. Threw all that out the door. It was just, I didn't have anything left in me. Couldn't say I'm a good person anymore. I just have a drug habit because I done stole everybody's stuff, and took advantage of people. So that's when I said, I was in the shower after all that. I said, God, you want me, you got me. I don't have anything left to offer the world or my family or anybody. I'm a piece of crap is what I am. I've proven that. Not that I think that. It's what my actions show. I hurt people. I lie to people. I steal from people. This is what I'm doing. I don't even want to live anymore. I don't. Why? So I can go around and keep hurting people? So, I'm like, God, if you want my life, you have it. You do whatever you want to do with it. You want me to go over here, I'll go. You want me to go over there, I'll go. I don't care anymore. Because if it's on me, all I'm going to do is take it and screw it up even more. So, and that's when God said, perfect. Thank you. I hate to put you here, son, but dang, you hard-headed. So, that's when I was able to understand who he was. Before then, I was blind. I was literally blind. People could tell me today something, and if they would have told me that back then, I wouldn't even been able to comprehend it. I could not see. Don't know why, but I was blind. I couldn't see the things that everybody else was seeing. And what God has put in me is the ability to see things that people can't see. I'm in construction. I have the ability to sit here and build this stage in my head before I ever even cut a piece of wood. I build it, okay, that. Oh, hold up, that ain't gonna work. If I put that there, it's gonna be right there. Okay, and I build things in my head. I can see stuff that other people just can't see. And so, for me to be blind and now I can see things that other people can't see is just, like you said, it's just a testimony of God of who I am. You know, it's my whole testimony is that people look at me and say, "Oh, I would have never thought that." That's my testimony. You look at me now, and I'm not the same person I was, not in the least little bit. I mean, he flipped my thinking, he flipped my actions. When I got out of prison, I said, you know, I ain't even going back to framing no more. It's what I've done my whole life. I'm not doing anything that involves my old living, you know. And framing's where I got introduced to drugs. I don't even want to look at a nail gun, you know. And so I'm just a different person that says that he removed my heart of stone, you know, and gave me a heart of flesh, a softer heart. I was so hard-hearted. I would take stuff from people, anybody, anything I wanted. I felt like if I could take it, I deserved it. It was mine, you know. And so my heart was just so hard. There was no feeling left in it. It's sad to say it, but I didn't care about nothing. And that's not a good place to be, you know. But he changed my heart. You know, I could cry now. I feel more emotions when I watch movies. I'm just like, I mean, I was watching Storm Stories on the Weather Channel the other day. I was sitting there crying. I'm like, hey. Storm Stories, yeah, folk got caught in the tornado. I'm over there crying. Like, dang, what happened to me? But, so, went to prison, Biloxi, Mississippi, where they got me. Harrison County Jail is the county Gulfport and Biloxi are in. So I was in there for 11 months waiting to go to court. Well, they have a program called the Life Learning Program. And this is why God wanted me there, because of that program. And, we're out of time already? So anyway, I got locked up there. It's a 4-month program. It's a crash course. There's people coming in all day long. You wake up, you sit down for 2 hours quiet time, journal time. I used to hate it. That ended up becoming the favorite thing. It keeps me on track every day. Is that journal, that time with God. That's my foundation. If I drift off over here during the day, in the morning I'm coming back to my foundation. That's why when I quit doing it, I found myself drifting, wandering, felt lost, didn't know where I was at spiritually. So I learned that there. God wanted me to learn that. Learned that there. Went to prison, Parchman, Mississippi. If you've seen the movie Life, anybody seen that movie? Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy? That's where it was filmed. No gates is a gun line. Take off running if you want to. That's where I was at. I'm riding this bus. I show up. We're in the Mississippi Delta. There's nothing out here but birds and stuff. And there's this big old fence that says Parchman. It's like 40 foot tall. That's the gate. You go in, it's like a little town in there. Stop signs, roads, there's these camps and stuff. But anyway, when I got there, preacher, I still talk to him to this day. I take care of him. He's my mentor. He's my friend. And I'll always be in contact with him. He's leading these Bible studies, or prayer groups as we called it. He's got 20 years time to do. He's done like 10 years. He's weary. God's called him. God's blessed him, but he's been doing this for a long time. People come to a prayer group. They walk off firing up, you know, and dilly-dallying around and everything else, and it just wears you down because you start wondering, am I even supposed to be doing this? And so he was wore out. So I got to start bringing a message every third day. We started rotating, me, him, another guy. God blew my mind. God opened his word up to me. When you got to preach to somebody else, you kind of got to know what you're talking about. So I prayed that God would show me scripture in pictures because I like to see things. So, and that's how Jesus taught a lot of time, was in parables to make people understand. So he opened his word up to me every day. I'm writing messages, preaching, and I started that journal. I memorized one scripture every week as part of my journal every morning. So after 2 years, I done memorized 200 scriptures, you know, just spit them off. So I was close to God, very close to God. I'd walk up to somebody I didn't know and just boom, hit them with the gospel like it wasn't nothing. And I got out when I started going to Church of the Highlands. I couldn't even sing the worship songs. I'd be crying just thinking about how, God was just all over me. And so, like I said, I've eased back over the years. He gave me a construction company. What I've always wanted in life is to own a framing company. Not necessarily my passion for framing, my passion for business. And so he's given me that. He's given me a fiance. He's restoring my daughter's relationship. He's blessing me because I've vowed to him to be a good steward of what he's given me. And when I started slipping off my word, I was not being a good steward of what he entrusted with me. So part of my testimony today is he didn't let me screw that up. Even though I'm a Christian now, I got it all together, I'm still trying to mess up stuff. And he still hold my hand, and I could do it again next year if I'm not careful, And so it's just part of my testimony of where I'm at today is not what I would like to get up here and say, that I'm just stronger than ever. And, I'm still marching forward because I hadn't, There's been ups and downs, but the ups and downs with the Lord are like this. The ups and downs without him are like this, So this is my rock. My foundation is the time spent with God, and it's being next to him, not sitting outside of a camp of sin. It's sitting right here with God and knowing his heart. Not only that, reflecting it, So thank y'all for listening to my testimony. It's time to go.
I told you look at him, you're like, no. And he shared a lot more details with me that he can't share with y'all, but it's, man, you never know who you're hanging out with. And so, and he, and not on you, I didn't, not yet. But he spent a lot of time on the crazy part and didn't spend much time on because of time, but on the blessing part. But complete change, amazing what God's doing in his life. Jenna's a pretty good catch. So and not only Jenna but Bryn. So and the cat. So, and he's got an amazing church family. So, we're so glad to hear that. And everybody's got a testimony, and so I encourage you to share yours, right? Doesn't that make you feel connected, number one, but makes you feel proud? And that's what the power of your testimony is. And like what he said to me, look at Noah. Noah is done. So, the power of your testimony is just that. It's yours. It's not theological. It's just what you've been through, and no one can argue with that. So I bless you. Give Daniel a hug, and don't forget all the cool stuff we got coming up. And I love you. Hang out. Say hi to somebody. In Jesus' name, amen.